Would you like to hear all the schools that I applied to?
If you are willing to share, I know
Yeah,
that the people listening or watching, they want to know as much as they can. So
absolutely.
the schools you applied to, and then whatever about your stats that you would want to share. So, I mean, they want to know as much as you want to share. So.
Okay, so that's a longer list. I've been talking a lot about those assumptions because I think that'll come into play later when we talk about what I was successful with. I mean, it's kind of easy to figure out. I just changed my assumptions, but so I'll tell you all my stats. I graduated again with an undergraduate degree in industrial engineering and a minor in psychology. I got a 3.05 out of college, which isn't bad, but it's not great. I mean, engineering, sometimes schools give a little bit of leeway for that, but I can't speak about how much or which schools for that matter. That's another thing. All the schools are very different when it comes to judging their candidates and the weight that they put in certain things, which comes back to the importance of finding a school that you think you're going to fit in well with. Because if you choose a top-ranked school, but you're not going to fit in with them, they're not going to fit in with you either, and it's just not going to work out for either party. Okay, so yeah, 3.05. I want to emphasize the 05, not 3.5, out of college. And actually, when I started the MBA application process, it was the fall of 2012. And I was young for the application process, but I thought that maybe I had a chance. So when I first took the GMAT back in 2012, I got a 710, very verbal heavy. Quant was all right, but not great. And I don't remember the exact numbers, otherwise I'd tell you. So I got a 710 back in 2012. And the feedback that I got after I applied to the schools, which were Harvard, UPenn, MIT, Michigan, and Virginia, I got an interview with Michigan, but all the others I got rejected from, and then eventually got rejected from Michigan. Mm-hmm. I waited a couple of years because the feedback that I got was that I was a little bit unexperienced. So I said, that's fair.
And how old were you then?
I was 24.
Okay, you were 24.
Yeah, and I was only 3 years out of college.
Okay, so you were 3 years out.
Yeah, so to be fair, I was definitely on the younger end of the spectrum, and I knew that that was a little bit of a gamble to apply during that time. And that's, so when I heard that news, I said, that's fine. What I'll do is I'll wait 2 years, I'll keep on working hard at my job, show that I have the capability to be successful even in higher level positions. Mm-hmm. I did exactly that. I actually moved into a company where I had a lot more responsibilities as the only industrial engineer in the plant. So I actually made a very good professional move, again, because I wanted to, because I liked those responsibilities, not because my ultimate goal was to get into the bombest of business schools. And then I reapplied in this last fall, so fall of 2014. I retook the GMAT because I wanted to balance out my score a little bit better. And I did. I ended up with another 710, unfortunately. I balanced out my verbal and my quant a little bit more. A little bit lower on the verbal, unfortunately, but a lot higher on the quantitative. Got a 6 on the writing, got a 6 or a perfect score or whatever on the critical thinking. Yeah, integrated thinking, that's what it's called. Although I've heard from many people that nobody seems to care about those, which is very sad that the 2 perfect scores I got, everyone's just like, out of here. And I applied to some different schools because I got some more information and found some new things. So I changed my list a little bit, and I applied to 5 schools, which were Michigan and Virginia and MIT were same as 2 years previous. And then I also applied to Duke and Dartmouth.
Okay, so let me stop you right there. Yeah. So this is round 1, 2014.
2014.
So now you're 26 when you're applying?
Yes, I'm 26 when I'm applying.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's very good to point out. And so at this point, I've been out of school for 4.5 years, going on 5 when I would start school, right? And I went to Dartmouth because they have open interviews, and I interviewed there. I thought it went very well. Went to Duke, had an interview there. Didn't think it went as well, but it was still serviceable. Met a lot of really nice people, a lot of great people. I was impressed with all the schools and the people that I met at all of the open events that they had in the Bay Area, and also when I did my campus visits. So I was very excited and actually very optimistic about my chances of getting into a school. Unfortunately, I did not get an interview with any of the schools, and I was obviously declined from all of the schools, which was that was a very tough thing for me. As the denials, the rejection letters started coming in, I knew that my next step would have to be working with a consultant because whatever I was doing was not going to work. But even so, having a plan for the future, it's still hard when you've spent so much time writing these essays and digging yourself apart. It's strange because as much as business school is marketed as this big networking opportunity and you talk with all these people and become a great professional and personal person, the application process is incredibly introspective. Mm-hmm. And you have to think about your own motivations and your own actions at a level of detail that I've never even come close to previously. So when you put absolutely everything you have and you're just like telling secrets basically to all of these schools, and they all just say, oh, unfortunately we had too many good applicants, so we can't let you in. It's just, I wouldn't call it depression. It was just this level of like disappointment of how is it that I've done so many good things in my life and I know I'm a good person. I've gotten recognition at my job. I've gotten recognition from family members. The whole world is rooting for me. And nothing I did was even close enough to get an interview. I mean, just to get shut down so hard. I was really questioning like my path that I had taken in life. Like I know it sounds extreme, but honestly, it makes you wonder like what did I do or what am I not doing? I mean, what is happening? What decisions have I made that have been so different from these other applicants that I'm missing out on? So that was tough. And it was tough because naturally the holidays, so Thanksgiving and Christmas, everyone's heard that you're applying to all these schools. And so yeah. I actually had a friend who asked me like, hey, Kenny, like, I heard you applying to schools. Have you heard back? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so which ones did you get into? I'm like, oh no, unfortunately I didn't get into any of them. And he laughed. He's like, ah. I'm like, no, really? Like they all said no. He's like, are you kidding me? And I said, yes. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't get into any of the schools. Like, oh wow, I'm really sorry to hear that. And
I bet he felt so bad.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did. But he's a nice guy. He apologized, but he laughed because he didn't believe it. Right? He didn't think that was possible.
Yeah. But
it's definitely possible. I'm here to tell you. So at this point, again, I mean, I've been denied from 10 straight schools. And so I'm starting to look, as the rejection letters come in, I get a call from my youngest brother, who was visiting my parents in Austin, Texas, home and headquarters of the Art of Applying. And he said, I was at this Christmas party and I met this consultant. Her name is Kaneisha. And I think you should really work with her. She seems like a really nice woman. And I said, okay, Justin, well, my plan is if I don't get into any of these schools that I'm going to have to work with a consultant. So sure enough, a few days later, I got the final rejection letter. And I said, okay, well, that's that. Got to move on to the next round. And I contacted you. And that's when we started the whole next phase. So sorry, I've moved way beyond the my application.
I remember
strategy.
The question. Yeah, no, it was great.
I just started getting on a roll. Sorry.
You did. You got on a roll, and you are an excellent speaker, Kenny. I don't know if I told you that already. Man, you need a podcast.